Welcome to the GTP. My name is Scott, where we talk all things manga, and I'm excited to share with you my manga haul for the month of May of over 45 volumes. And the goal for this video is not just to show, hey, this is what I bought, but anything that I've read to give you just a little bit of what I thought about that volume. So this is really about what I read and why, not just a haul in general, and hopefully just give you a bit of a parent's perspective with everything we're reading. So with that said, I'd love to know in the comments below, what did you either read or pick up this last month? This is so fun to talk as a community together, what we're currently reading, and often the things that you suggest or you share about, I end up picking it up and wanting to check it out for myself. And I'm sure there's many others are like that as well with your comments. So let's go ahead and start with ongoing or missing titles that I received from Viz Media, the first being the one and only Yona of the Dawn Volume 41. My daughter absolutely loves this series. She's going on to be 13 in a couple months. Yona of the Dawn, they just announced that they are now towards the final arc of the series. I was asking my daughter, do you feel like it's really wrapping up? And she's like, you know, towards this, I actually could see them ending it. So that was helpful. This is her second or third time reading Yona of the Dawn. It's been very, very popular for her. So if you're looking for a good shoujo series, is one that's also good for a younger audience, this is one I'd highly recommend checking out. Next up is a series I don't recommend for younger audiences, and that is Chainsaw Man Volume 15, especially as my younger son saw the cover. They said, why is there blood coming down from this lady's eyes? I'm like, son, that is a great question. Definitely not for kids. Now, this is part 2 of Chainsaw Man. Unfortunately, I'm not really feeling it compared to part 1. Now, I don't know what they're thinking. Even the last, if you know what I'm talking about, if you've seen within the last chapter that came out, I was like, huh. So that's where we're going with Chainsaw Man. So part 2 has not been as good as part 1. I thought this was probably the more interesting part here with Chainsaw Man. Then after Volume 15, it kind of went down even more than I was already expecting. And I don't know why we're going this route. I think it would have been better if he was battling hell and went to hell and trying to save the love of his life that got destroyed. So not to spoil too much, but someone he near and dear cares about does not make it in part 1. And at the end, she says, come and find me. And I was really hoping part 2 would be his journey of Denji going and finding her. And that has not happened. So there we go. There's Chainsaw Man Volume 15. Next up, I picked up another series that's definitely not for kids. This one gives you the nice little explicit parental advisory content. This is Dan to Dan Volume 7. Now, this has been just a very, very interesting series, and I've continued to enjoy it with each volume. It's one of the series just continues to get better and better. There's some lightheartedness, but man, I gotta say, the panels itself are just phenomenal. I'm very, very impressed with everything they have done with this series, with the battling here. The artwork style is really unique. It's a lot of fun. It's funny. And this idea of this girl who says, oh, I don't believe that aliens exist. This boy saying, I don't believe ghosts exist. And they go to try to prove each other wrong. And you find out that ghosts and aliens actually both exist together. So really fun. Definitely not for kids, but this has been a great series so far. Up next, I picked up is Black Clover Volume 34. We're now at the last arc of this, and unfortunately, these new volumes are very, very spread thin, as it seems like we get a chapter or two, it seems like every couple of months now. So it could be a while before, it might even be next year, would probably be we get Volume 36 of Black Clover. Who knows, could be longer. But I'm enjoying this last arc. If you've followed Black Clover this long, you already know what you're getting into, and you want to see it all the way through. If you read to Volume 36, or Volume 35, even if I think the series just crashed, you want to see it towards the end. And it does feel like it's wrapping up nicely, as a bit of the mystery is finally being solved, and it's fun just seeing a little bit more of this guy's story and what's going on behind the scenes. So very good volume. It felt like it almost concluded a bit of a mini arc, and I'm really excited to see where we're headed in the future, even though it'll probably be a while. Next up is one of my favorite ongoing series currently, and that is Akane Banashi Volume 5. And this has to do with this about storytelling. And this main girl here, she is following this dream of one because of Rakugo, which is this one play kind of sort of comedian or just really good storytelling. So not action, not comedy per se, even though there's some light humor in this, kind of more like a slice of life, but a bit of a sports, but sports as telling stories. But it's been such heartwarming, really, really good. and my daughter, who has absolutely just loved this series as well. So this is one I'd recommend almost for any age. It's been just really interesting storytelling. I'm sucked in, and I just cannot wait for the next volume. Up next is Mission Yakuza Family Volume 10, and this has been so good. Man, I feel like this one kind of finally has finishing an arc, which is really interesting. It didn't go the way that I wanted per se, but at the same time it might have. So it's been a really good mystery. I think if you like Spy X Family and more the action adventure side, it does have some humor and just the idea of family. You like to see many different characters work together. This has been a very interesting series that I've just thoroughly enjoyed. It came out of nowhere. I was not surprised how much I would continue to like the series. At first, I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep reading it, but like Dan to Dan, it's one of the series that just got better and better over time, and I'm just thoroughly enjoying this, and I cannot wait to read the next one as well. And this is one my daughter and my son, who is going on to be 12, they have both enjoyed the series as well. Up next is from the same author that gave us Hayate the Combat Butler. This is Fly Me to the Moon, Volume 23. I have not been reading Fly Me to the Moon, so if you saw my video where I talked about being a manga hoarder, I am now going to pause on purchasing any more Fly Me to the Moon, this adult romantic comedy series, until I have gone ahead and I started reading the volumes, or for some reason there's a crazy birthday sale, if that ever exists again, and it's about $5 a volume, I'll probably do that. But for now on, we're going to pause on this, and that way I can only tell you the series that I am currently reading, like the ones you just saw before this one. Up next is one of my favorite sports series that is also currently out, but it's also a bit of a romantic comedy, so I don't know if it's necessarily a romance, dash a comedy, sports, but that is Blue Box Volume 10. This has been phenomenal, and there's this bit of this give and take where I like someone, do they like me, and some of those antics have just been really tugging on the heartstrings. And there's actually the main character, there's actually instead of the main girl he likes a girl that likes him, there's this going on. It's not necessarily, it's not a love triangle, but it's this person likes this person who likes that person who likes that person, and yet for some reason they're not liking the person who wants to, they're not compatible with each other. But it's just been so powerful, and then see them, just the characters progress. This has great character progression, and the artwork is phenomenal as well. It has some of the best artwork I've seen that's currently going on for a Shonen Jump series. So this is one you've got to check out. My daughter absolutely loves it. My son's read some of the volumes. I think he's fallen out of it kind of bit, but for a younger audience as well, I think this is one that I would recommend as well for them. Up next I picked up is Volume 9 of Helk. Now, this has just been phenomenal. I believe there's 12 volumes total of this, so it's going to be a complete story. And in the beginning of this story, the Demon King has fallen, and what do we now need? A new Demon King. Well, to do that, what do demons do? Well, of course, they start a tournament, and whoever's the strongest fighter will win. Unfortunately, there's a bit of an issue when a human decides to join the tournament, and that human is doing phenomenal, and they're just destroying all the demons. So it has this unique twist where all of a sudden you realize the demons aren't as bad as you think, and you see the humans might actually be the bad guys here, and vice versa. But it's been so good, so interesting, a ton of fun to read, great cast of characters. I'm thoroughly enjoying Helk, and for only 12 volumes, it's one I'd highly recommend checking out if you've not read already. Next up is another series that seems like with each volume, it's just getting better and better and better, and now has an anime coming out for it, which will be soon, and that is The Elusive Samurai Volume 11. And what's neat with this series, there's like a major turning point. As you know, we have the white spines now that the first, I think, 9 volumes that had the red spine. Now we have this, so you're seeing a major turning point, and you're seeing that now we're 2 years later from what happened in the beginning of the story. Is you're seeing rise up where the Elusive Samurai, his clan has been taken over, and there's a new person in charge, and you're trying to see the main character to see if he can fight for his family and make it up the ranks again, and to hopefully be the leader of Japan. So you get to see through like the medieval type of periods in Japan. There's really neat at the end of each book, you get to hear a little bit about the history of what was going on actually during that time period of, I think, around the 1300s or so. But really, really good. I've been very interested. This is from the same author that gave us Assassination Classroom, so if you like that one, this is one I'd recommend checking out as well. And it gives me a little accents. We don't get Kingdom. Kingdom, I think there's 72 volumes. I don't know why Viz isn't releasing it, but I wonder if this is scratching some of that same itches. There is tons of great battle fights, and then you get to see strategy as they're trying to win these different battles. So that's been really interesting. I've just thoroughly have enjoyed the Elusive Samurai. Up next is a series where we're almost towards the end. I was shocked they announced that I think probably 36 volumes total, and we have up to 31, and that is Twin Star Exorcist. It's one I have not started yet. I got all the series because it was just on a really good sale, and plus we knew the 20% increase was going to be happening from Viz Media. Now this is a series that I will keep on getting as there's only a few more volumes left, as you saw that video where I talked about what we're going to stop getting. Because this is near the end and it's almost done, I will see this to completion, and it's one I do hope to get to around the corner soon. Next up I picked up is Dark Gathering Volume 7. Now with this series, I only read the first volume and I thought it was okay. I thought it was interesting, and it had this bit of this horror feel and this excitement, and I wanted to read Volume 2, and then Volume 2 just came from a person where the company eventually ended up saying they're filing for bankruptcy, so I ended up keep getting the other volumes, but I didn't have 2. So it's one I need to start reading again. This is on my short list to read right away to determine whether or not we're going to pick up any of the other volumes, especially if we have 7. Usually when there's a major arc, at least when it seems like a first season of an anime, it usually, if there's 24 episodes, it usually ends around the 7th or 8th volume. So because I feel like this will give me enough of an idea of whether or not this is one to continue reading. If I don't start reading it right away, this is another one I will choose to pause until we get a little further to decide whether or not this is one I want to continue checking out. And next we have is One Punch Man Volume 28, and we're finally feeling like we're near towards the end of this massive arc that seems to have been going on at, gosh, I feel like half of 15 of the volumes, almost it feels like over half the series has been just on this one arc of this giant evil corporation that they're finally fighting, finally getting to. Hopefully this is the head boss of the head boss, but it's still so funny. This is from the same author that gave us Mob Psycho 100, and I've thoroughly enjoyed this. It is a little intermittent how often we get these volumes, but it's been a good, just cozy, relaxing, laugh out loud feel, and every time we get a new one, I feel so good with another dose of just comedy and humor, and plus the art style is just phenomenal. So that is One Punch Man. Next is a series where I was unsure if I wanted to keep reading, and then it felt like, I think the 4th volume, where it just kind of turned itself on its head, and you're like, oh, what I thought the story was going to be wasn't, and it just got really dark, really gritty, and really interesting, and that is Shojin Exodus Volume 6. I've really and thoroughly enjoying this series so far. This is from the same author that gave us Tokyo Ghoul and Tokyo Ghoul Re. This is his follow-up series, so it has a very unique art style, and you're following this character who has these humans. Some humans are awakened with special abilities. It could be a beast ability, where like our main character can turn into a vulture. You also have other people that maybe they can create metal chains. You have think of it kind of like the X-Men sort of thing, all these different mutant powers, but they're very unique and gritty, and just there's this war going on. So I thoroughly enjoyed it so far, and I'm really glad I kept continuing this series. So I'm excited to find out what's going to happen next. Now, up next is a series that was in between prints for a very long time. This series I ordered it over 2 years ago on Right Stuff Anime, and the reason why I did this is actually none of the volumes were even available for a back order, and then all of a sudden volumes 1, 2, and 3 were reprinted, and then that allowed Right Stuff Anime where they put all the volumes available, or is it when I think volume 15 came out? So because of that, I was like, oh! So I pre-ordered, and they finally came some of the volumes, but this is real. We got volume 4, we got volume 5, volume 8, and volume 9. So I think I'm just missing now 10 through 14, and we'll have the whole series. And I think one thing that's super interesting when you think about the series is from the same author that gave us Slam Dunk, as well as the same author that gave us Vagabond. But when you go to where it says first printing, so this is volume 9. Its first printing was November 2010. And this is second printing February 2024. So you got to think about, that's 14 years just for volume 9. And I was just like, wow. And we're even further. If we really want to look at volume 4, its first printing was even longer. It says first printing was 2009. So first printing 2009 was a year before that. So I was just like, wow, it has been so long. That's 15 years. 15 years. No wonder people have been dying for this. So I'm so happy that Viz announced that they're going to reprint the series. I'm so looking forward to finding out why people love this series so very much. So with that, I'm beyond grateful to have these volumes of Real and check out this basketball series. Up next is a series I feel like it needs no introduction because there's so much of this. We have part 1, we have part 2, we've had part 3, which I read and enjoyed all of them in its own aspects, and we have part 4, 5, and now 6, and that is none other than this is Stone Ocean Volume 4. And I really love just from the artwork, the hard covers here, but I'm going to continue the series just because I have the rest of JoJo Bizarre Adventures. Probably should pause just because we haven't read 4 or 5 yet, but it's, if you've read JoJo Bizarre Adventures, you know what you're getting yourself into, and I love these different arcs, and soon we'll get 7. Hopefully it will come out next year, which is just one of people's favorite all-time stories, and it's all contained in its own little thing. So I'm still enjoying JoJo's. If you're curious my thoughts, I have videos for part 1 and part 2. I wrote a script for part 3, but I just have not gotten to the point of filming and talking about it. So hopefully we'll get that to a one point so you can at least hear my thoughts on part 3 as well, but I'll let you in that I did enjoy it. Up next is a very dark and gritty series that is very, very depressing. It's like a train wreck that I don't want to look at, but for some reason I keep doing and I just get sucked in. It's one of the series I don't know why, but I want to read the next volume, and I was grateful this was the first volume that was not sealed, meaning that it didn't have as much of the horrific, some of the heavy adult content. So this one is definitely not for kids, but this is volume 5 of Boys Abyss, and just wow, this is definitely for mature audiences only, but it is just depression after depression after depression as you're seeing this boy just, he can't get out of the situation he's in. And when he tries to look for help, help comes in all the wrong ways and more people just take advantage of him. So I'm interested to find out how this is going to turn. I never thought I'd be so sucked into this series. I almost was apprehensive to even get the first volume, but it's one that just keeps clawing you back where you're like, I don't know why, but I just want to peek a little bit. You're like, oh, it's so bad, but then you got to peek again. So that is Boys Abyss. And next up I picked up is volume 14 of Zom 100. This is from the same author that gave us Alice in Borderland. This is a comedy series of the zombie apocalypse happens. This poor little salaryman's like, oh, what am I going to do now with my life? Well, you know what, because this zombie apocalypse, I actually can now live my life. And then so this has just been sprinkled out through comedy. It's one that I have not been fully reading, so because of that, it's another one that I will be pausing and not ordering the next couple volumes until we're caught up. And once I'm caught up to it, if I still like the series, we will go ahead and I'll continue it. And hopefully we might even have a nice review letting you know whether or not this is one you should check out as well. And last, from ongoing or missing titles from Viz, I got the 2nd volume of Tokyo These Days from the same beloved author that gave us Sunny and number 5. So this is, I love it, it is in a hardcover. Very, very nice. There's only 3 volumes total going to be for this series, and you're following this manga editor who kind of quit, and now he's realizing whether or not do I want to keep living my dream. And you're following these other manga creators that some of them aren't creating the stuff that they want to create just because they're trying to pay the bill, and it's like they've had to morph and conform to somebody else just to get attention and be able to provide an audience. So it's an interesting question and really makes you deeply think, kind of like sort of like with this YouTube channel. There are certain things I could do to get more of an audience, but then am I really being myself? Is it okay if I'm not myself, if that means that I can be entertaining or support other people? And you're even seeing in Tokyo These Days where there's an artist where they feel like they're dying inside, but then they have people coming to them saying, you have no idea how grateful I am for your story. You have no grateful how much it means to me and how impacting it is, and I just want to thank you so much for it. So can you imagine that tension where people love what you're doing, it's making an impact, a positive impact on their life, but for you it's not making a positive impact. So there's that tension there, is yes, I want to help other people, but at the same time I want to still be me. I want to be the real me. So I'm very, very interested in how this is going to keep going and how they wrap up with the 3rd volume. But if you're looking for something that's going to be a bit of a deep thinking, more of a deep dive where, you know, table conversation, you're like, let me tell you about Tokyo These Days, you're like, oh, because this is definitely outside the norm, but I'm thoroughly enjoying the journey. Let's go ahead and now check out ongoing or missing titles that I received from Yen Press. And the first is one of my favorite series. I think it made my number 1 in series that came out last year, but this is Oshe no Ko Volume 6. Now I will say this volume in the current arc, this arc they're in with, and I think the anime's coming for this arc too, doing this 2.5D stage play. I am ready for this arc to be done, as it wasn't as gripping as the other volumes, where each other volume was like, I have to know what's going to happen next. But I'm still in love with this series. I cannot wait to find out what's going to happen with our main character, as they're trying to, I don't want to spoil it because I feel like if I share anything, it just spoils the whole thing, but read the first volume. After the first volume, you will know if this series is right for you. It's definitely, I don't think it's right for kids, but it may be right for you after the first volume. The first volume will give you enough of an idea whether or not this is a tale that you want to find out the mystery behind what is going on in the story. Up next, I got Higurashi. This is volume 2 of this particular arc that we're in right now. Now, I already did a review of Higurashi. Now, this is actually now a continuation after volume 26 of this from Higurashi, from what I understand. So I decided to pause on reading until I get the whole thing. I think there's only 1 or 2 left, and then I think there was 5 total in this whole thing that they were adding, so we'll see. Until that happens, I don't want to read this because I'd love to read it all in one. I really enjoyed Higurashi, this horror feel that I just kept coming back to over and over again. I mean, definitely not for kids, as you see this little character here has all this blood all over them, so yeah, that's Higurashi for you. Again, I thoroughly enjoyed it. You can check out, if you click on my reviews, you can check out a thorough synopsis on what I thought of Higurashi overall. So with that, we have this. Up next is Tokyo Babylon Volume 3. This is actually the prequel to the Tokyo X, which sadly is on a permanent hiatus, and I don't think Clamp ever wants to finish just because of other disasters and things that have happened. But I've really enjoyed this, and I can feel, you can see where the prequel is going and why they had to do X after this. So I've really enjoyed this, as you're following this main character who is a bit of an exorcist, and there's these different ghosts and abilities of these people that he's fighting. And I'm really enjoying just going from an old school series. And from the premium, I do appreciate is that they do give us in the beginning these nice little artwork posters, which we could never take out because then we'd lose all the specialness to this. I don't know if you are supposed to pull them out, but I'm really enjoying this. I'm very grateful that Yen Press is reprinting this, as I know the Dark Horse ones are very hard to find, and these are singles, which are nice, where the other one was kind of like this 3-in-1 omnibus. So there you have it. That is Tokyo Babylon Volume 3. And up next is a very cozy series that has many laugh out loud moments. This is one you just want to snuggle up to a blanket. If you are tired but you want something to read, scratches a little bit of that same itch of like Homie Can't Communicate, but with music. Highly recommend the social anxiety disorder manga, Boshi the Rock. This is volume 3. I'm very much enjoying the series. My daughter is enjoying this one as well, and I'm just, I love being able to have this manga you can laugh out loud. And what's nice is, what's different with this one is we have these 4 panels, so we just read all the way down for each one instead. And there is a lot, even though it's more thin, there is a lot of text. There's a lot going on in this. It actually takes me a while to read that compared to just a typical Shonen Jump story. So if that interests you, it's one that I would recommend checking out. Next up is a sports series that is a bit of a brick in its own. These are 2-in-1s, and I am shocked because technically right now with this 2-in-1, we are 50 volumes into a series that looks like it's not stopping at all of, I think, 90 volumes, volume 90 they're at in Japan, but that is Yaomushi Pedal volume 25. This is also a series that many people have wanted to get into, but because volume 3, volume 5, and 6 are very hard to find, and now volume 9, a lot of people just haven't been able to even check it out. I'm grateful that I have those other ones, so I'm worried, or I'm concerned that for some reason this is going to be one of those series that is not, after one reprinting of each one, I'm not sure if Yen Press will reprint it again. So because of that, I've continued to pick up this series, and it's one that I will probably make an exception. I do want to start reading it, but because I don't know if they're going to reprint more than one reprinting of each thing, if everything's going to be a first printing, I'm a little hesitant to stop reading this because I think this one that might actually be harder to find in the future. Next up, we're going to now look a bit at the Eyes Press line with Business Proposal Volume 5. This is one that I need to get to, as I was waiting for a couple of the other volumes beforehand where they're just stuck and didn't come, and the other ones came. There's 10 volumes total in this romantic drama. a Korean series, so it's one I gotta read right away because it could change my review. The first volumes came out last year, and so I'm very impressed. We're already at 5 now with Yen Press. So with that, it's one that I need to read because I have a thorough review I want to do where I want to talk a lot about the Ice Press line. Is that there's so many good manhwa coming from that line, and this is probably one of them. Up next is a series that I'm thoroughly enjoying, my daughter as well. It's one I want to pick up and read right away, and that is The Villainess Turns the Hourglass Volume 3. Now what's really interesting with this series is this gal is portrayed to be a villainess, and then you look behind the scenes at the very beginning, finding out that it's actually her sister that was the villain and kind of pushed her into being a villain herself. So it's really interesting seeing this gal she's given a second chance of life, and in this second chance she's able to now, you know, be the puppet master behind the actual puppet master. So she's now seeing why her sister did certain things, set her up for failure, and then created her to be the villain that she is. So it's interesting, you're seeing these shadows and counter shadows, shadows and counter moves, and so it's really interesting. It's one I've been really gripped at and thoroughly have enjoyed, which I'm shocked you're like, oh no, not another villainous series. Well, this is one that you need to check out. I'm sure Fright that's not a title already. It should be a title, as I just thought of that right now. Oh no, another villainous series. That would be a great title, or oh no, I got reincarnated again as a what? And then that could be a title as well. Next in the Ice Press line, I got The World After the Fall, Volume 6. This has been a great series, as it has, man, the artwork alone is just phenomenal, especially the colors, all the colors. And with the Ice Press line, you know, everything's in color, which is great. But this scratches a bit of the itch of if you like Tomb Raider King or Slow Leveling, even though this is very different, but you're following this main character that had to climb this tower in the volume 1, and he gets to the top of the tower, and everything that you think you know just completely turned itself on its head. So it's really interesting world building, really good storytelling, and I'm already excited to find out what's going to continue on with the story. Up next is Unholy Blood Volume 2. This is a vampire series, and I have thoroughly enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the first volume, and the second volume was even better, as you're following this girl who is a vampire, and she wants her revenge to take out the other vampires. So it's almost like the Marvel or the movie Blade, and instead we have a female here, and it's just been really, really interesting. This is one of the better vampire series I've read in a long time. So if you're looking for a good vampire series, this is one I'd recommend checking out. And last I have is What's Wrong with Secretary Kim Volume 4, and I believe there's 5 volumes total, so the next one should be the last one. And this one, which I really appreciated with the 4th volume, is it gave us more of the behind the scenes on what finally happened, like that anime where there's finally the reveal episode where you get to see someone's history of their past finally and answers a lot of the major questions in the mystery. This volume did that in spades. So you're following this girl, Secretary Kim, right here, this lovely gal here, and she has decided that she's had enough of her boss and that she's going to quit and just wants to live her own life. And this narcissist, arrogant boss is like, what's wrong with Kim? Why would she leave me? I'm so amazing. Why would she want to not be with me anymore? So there is this romantic drama that's going on. So I've thoroughly enjoyed it so far, and I cannot wait to find out how this series is going to conclude. Let's go ahead and now check out ongoing or missing titles that I received from Kodansha, with the first being Eden Zero Volume 28. This is from the same author that gave us Fairy Tail and gave us Rave Master, which Rave Master is extremely out of print. Fairy Tail with over 70 volumes, so I'm like, we'll go ahead, if we had to pick up anything, we're going to pick up Eden Zero. This is a series that I have not continued on, which I need to read. It is a sci-fi series. I saw the first part of the anime and I actually enjoyed it. I was like, oh, this actually looks really good, and I wanted to check this author's work. So with that, I went and I started grabbing Eden Zero. They had a huge, wonderful sale on Right Stuff Anime for it, one of their birthday sales, so I just continued on, and it's in the final arc and it's almost concluded, and these are still really cheap and affordable. So it says $10.99 MSRP on here, so I usually get them for around, I think, $7.40 a volume, which is really cheap, and I have a feeling that I wouldn't be surprised if Kodansha ups their prices soon. So like, let's just go and continue on. Let's finish the series. So this is one that I'll keep going just because of the price and the deal, and it is one I do want to pick up and I want to read soon. So this one's going to be breaking a little bit that rule just because it's near the end, and I believe it should be done within a year. Next up I picked up is Shangri-La Frontier Volume 11. This is another series I got on a incredible sale thanks to Right Stuff Anime. and then another person that had this on sale. So this is one I have not started reading, so we will pause on this one as well. This is for, even though it's volume 11, I want to get into the series. I've heard just so many good things. It scratches the itch of MMOs. I loved MMOs growing up and just the RPG element. So with that, this is one I will be pausing shamefully until I go ahead and I start reading the story. Next I picked up is The Medalist Volume 2, and wow, I gotta say, I started crying almost right away when I started reading this volume. This series is phenomenal. Medalist will make my #1 probably for manga of the year. If I had to, not manga of the year, my best manga for new releases. The volume 1 was amazing. Volume 2 is even better, and you're following this main girl, not this girl here, this wonderful girl here. You're following this girl here as she is trying to achieve her dreams and keep being told over and over and over again, you're not good enough, you're too old, you will never amount to what you want to do. And you see her continue to fight past that over and over again. Sometimes she fails, but she keeps getting back up, and it's just a beautiful story. And there's so many times in life where it just touches my heart, just the idea of so many times in my own life I've had people say, you're not good enough, you'll never amount to anything. And I've actually struggled with confidence for a long time because of that. But this series just touches my heart, where I can resonate with what's that like, being told over and over again you can't make it. And then what's nice is, the other side is you are able to make something for yourself, but sometimes those doubts still enter your head because these people are supposed to be who are the experts out there tell you otherwise, that it's too late. Well, I'm here to tell you it is not too late. It's not too late for me. It's not too late for you as well. Next up is a name that if I say it out loud, I'll immediately butcher, but Gachuda. I apologize. I know that's actually absolutely wrong. This series, they say if you like, let's say, Attack on Titan-ish, it has a bit of that feel to it. It has some mystery to this as you're following this main character who lived in the Sky City, and then he falls out in the beginning into just the normal world that's trash. And there's all these different monsters, and because he has a special affinity with these gloves, now he has some powers with them. So I thoroughly enjoyed this so far. The second volume was just as good as volume 1. It's one that I will continue. If you haven't checked it out, I could see this probably making my top 10 for new series to come out this year. So it is very interesting. It's one I'd recommend as well. And next I got the omnibus of Fire Force Volume 10. I love how the spines are all connecting. Now Fire Force is completely done the singles, and I love that Kodansha gave us these nice giant 3-in-1 omnibuses, and I'm almost done. I think there's 12 gonna be, maybe 13 total with that. So because of that, now we have 30 volumes of this, because 3 times 10 is 30. So with that said, there's only a couple more left, so I'm very grateful for them providing these for me. I love how the spines look together on the shelf. So with that, we'll continue getting this just to finish it, and then we'll read it. And this is from the same author, if you did not know, that his previous series was Soul Eater. Let's go ahead and now move on to ongoing or missing titles that I received from smaller publishers, with the first being Candy and Cigarettes. This is volume 8. It is a series I've not started reading, so with that, we will pause this one as well. Even though I think there's only 12 in the series, so it's like, oh, there's only 4 more. Well, it is 4 more, but there's other series we want to get, and it gives me a reason that I need to read it. So this is supposed to be an assassin series. I've heard very good things, so I just need to pick it up. So because I haven't, it's one we will pause as well until I start reading the series. Up next is a series. This is from the J novel, and this is the Faraway Paladin Omnibus Volume 5. Now this took a while to come out. Now the first 4 were on a Rights of Anime sale, and this one just released. So it shows you they had like a volume 9, but volume 10 was a lot further along. So I haven't started, but it's one I remember I was seeing, as soon as I saw the analysis, I was like, I'll just wait till this. So I'm sure it's going to be years until there's another one of these, or a 6, or maybe the series is done. But with that, I need to read it. I know an isekai feel, and I do like isekai, so that's why we picked up. Is like, already have the other 4. I don't think another one's going to be out for a long time, so I need to read it. I need to make a review, and I need to tell you about the series. And last, from smaller publishers, I got Don't Call It Mystery. This is the 2-in-1 volume number 7 and 8. Wow, so good. I've thoroughly enjoyed this series so far, the shoujo series, as you're following this main character who's not a detective. He's in college, but he has a mind like a Sherlock Holmes, like a modern day Sherlock Holmes, and a very witty, funny dialogue. And it's neat as you're following the main character trying to solve the mystery and the puzzles around. You feel like you're trying to solve it as well. And again, if you like heavy dialogue, this is for you, as This has a ton of dialogue. So much dialogue. I mean, you look just here. There's a lot of words on here, but I've really enjoyed this. I'm so glad that Seven Seas is providing for this. Hopefully that means, Viz, you'll reprint Basara soon. Let's talk about 3-in-1. And then let's get Seven Seas. Let's get their other series. I don't know why we can't get Seven Seas. So with that, I'm very much enjoying the story. I'm so grateful that we have it. Let's go ahead and now move on to new to me from Viz Media, which I only got one, but this is volume 1 of Hirasumi. Hirasumi. I think I said that right. I apologize if I didn't. This was a very good slice of life first volume, as you're following this main character here who is given this home, and then his cousin is now joining him. And she, believe it or not, it's not a child. She's actually in college, and I think he's getting close to 30. So I wasn't expecting that. But this was a very good, if you're looking for a wholesome slice of life that also has a dash of humor to it, this was a very strong, good volume. I am looking forward to continuing on. I'm definitely going to keep reading this series. Let's go ahead and now move on to new to me from Yen Press, which will be the last part of here. Now, if you want more details about the ones I'm going to show you, go ahead and click the eye on the right-hand corner, and you can go ahead and see my thoughts from Yen Press itself. I'm very grateful that they went and sent these series so that I could go ahead and we could talk about them together. I'd love to know some of your thoughts. So let's go and go through these quickly. This is Bongo Stray Dogs Anthology. This is kind of like the anthology that came out with Higurashi. Is you have a bunch of different artists that have given these little tiny one-shot stories. So what I love about that is you're getting unique artwork from all these different authors here. As I can't really see because there's not a ton here, but there is a ton of little authors here. So I feel like if you have Bongo Stray Dogs already, if you like that series, you're going to go ahead and pick this one up as well. Then we have this is a revamping of Sword Art Online from the very beginning. I've never read Sword Art Online, but after reading this first one, I actually am interested in continuing on the series. So I'm hoping they'll go ahead and they'll do more of this reboot of the series, kind of like how they reboot Hunter x Hunter for the anime. I like that they're rebooting this, as I heard the first time they made Sword Art Online with the art style, it didn't really mesh with where they're at now. So with that, I hope they continue on with this. I haven't seen a volume 2 announced yet, but I really enjoyed this. Now we have the Goblin Slayer. This is volume 1, A Day in the Life. This is kind of a side story. If you already read Goblin Slayer, I think you're going to read this as well. I actually was surprised. I definitely actually like this, and I don't have Goblin Slayer. I didn't feel lost with this side story, so it was actually pretty good. Next, I had a very dark and gritty series, definitely not for kids. Parental discretion advised. You like Game of Thrones, this might be for you. This is the kept man of the Princess Knight. He is not a good kept man. This princess has some issues as well, so if you're looking for a dark, gritty, interesting series, this is going to be one for you that you would want to check out, but maybe probably a little much for me. But I could definitely see this being a very popular with those, especially if you like Berserk. I could see a lot of people gravitating towards something like this. Next is a adult romantic comedy slice of life series, and this is Friday at the Atelier. Now this also has a parental discretion advised, just because this main character here is an artist who meets this girl, and he has her paint. He likes to paint fish on her, but she's not wearing any clothes. So there's a lot of those pictures on her of her not wearing any clothes with dead fish on her as he's painting her. But at least he is very eco-friendly, and they cook the fish afterwards and they eat them. So, but he doesn't like her in any romantic way whatsoever. But then towards the end, maybe he does have some kind of feelings for her. So, if you're looking for something like that, a very unique adult romantic comedy style, this one would be up your alley. And last, this is one that thanks to the Eyes Press, I already pre-ordered the second volume because it was just so good. This is The Perks of Being an S-Class Heroine. So yes, it's nice that Eyes Press / the Yen Press is going to send us new volumes, but problem is, for everyone I really like, I'm now ordering the series, which I didn't know if I was going to do, but this was so good. I love this. My daughter loved this right away, as you're following this main girl who, when she died, she gets trapped into a book. So it's this idea that after you die, God's kind of tired just bringing people to heaven. So instead now we're just gonna trap you in a fantasy book from something that you've read in the past. So you're following this main character here. Luckily she got insurance before she died, so she has a little perk here, but very, very, very good first volume. I highly recommend. This is one you're gonna want to check out if you've not already. So that's all I picked up for the month of May, and I thought this was really interesting. I'm just gonna share with you a small tidbit. Thanks to YouTube, they have let me know on these videos, which usually do pretty well, that 73% of you have not subscribed to the channel. A great thing that you can do to help this channel thrive is if you would like, comment, and subscribe. When you subscribe to this channel, it actually helps other people become aware of this channel as well. Helps us get more sponsors like we have from Tokyo Treat. Now we're getting stuff from Yen Press that I can share with you, and I hope that open up more opportunities for what this community could be. So if you are part of that 27% that subscribe, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. It is actually because of viewers like you. Yes, just like I'm thinking about PBS with the rainbow, for viewers like you, we get to exist. So I gotta say, viewers like you, 27%, thank you so much for subscribing and being part of this channel. If you're part of that 73%, we would love to have you join us and help support us just by hitting that subscribe button. You have no idea, it is a huge deal just for this. I'm not asking for any money or anything, but just a moment of your time to go ahead and just move that mouse, click subscribe, and stay subscribed. So thank you so much. I hope you have a fantastic day, and we'll see you on the next one.